premier tax and bookkeeping.
Hello everyone, I'm Sarangi Bandara. Welcome to CeyFLiXtv, an early edition. Today, we are going to discuss about recent changes to the Australian migration law. It's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Don Susantha Katugampala, accredited immigration law specialist in our studio. Hi, Boan. Mr. Katugampala, are there any significant changes to student visa?
Yes, there are significant changes being proposed to student visas.
Yes.
The number of students' visas is going to be significantly reduced from 1 July.
I see.
The government's made a policy that the temporary residents and the students coming to this country seems to be a problem to the economy, whereas it should benefit the economy.
Yeah,
it benefits
true.
the economy because there are 4 pillars in this economy: resource sector, agriculture, tourism, and international education.
Yes.
International education means the overseas students, international students, bringing money to the university sector and the circular economy. It's very important for the sustainability of the economy.
Yes.
However, the government believes that bringing international students will have an impact on the housing supply, and that's the reason for housing crisis in the country.
Okay. Other
There's a
reasons?
problem in supply chain. The skill shortage still continues in the construction industry, and the capital become expensive, so people don't do development. So the government has given a direction to universities to cap the student visas, student enrollment. So before they apply for a student visa, any interested student must have an offer from university and an enrollment, COE.
True. Yes.
So the universities now will have limitations because the caps being introduced, and if they recruit over the limit, then they will be banned on a different platform, and then that will have an impact on their university status. So therefore, the number of student visas coming to the system will be reduced, and then also that when they assess the student visas, pending student visas, then the government is assessing the student visas on the basis of GT criteria. The GTE, the genuine temporary entrant criteria, has been changed to genuine student test, and the GT test is very similar, but they wanted to apply that and say that the crux of it is that if you can do that proposed course in your home country, then you may not get a student visa.
I see.
So that's bad news. And also, from 1 July, people who come to Australia on a visitor visa, if they want to say study in Australia, they come on a visitor visa, and they change their mind, I want to study, I want to complete a course.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they are unable to apply for a student visa in Australia, so there's restriction coming.
Okay.
And also,
Effective from 1st of July?
Effective from 1st of July.
Yes.
The visitor tourist visas will become an unqualified visa to apply for a student visa.
Okay.
Also, if you're on a temporary graduate skill visa, that's a subclass 485 visa, then say you had 2 years or 3 years and you're doing some work and you want a career change, you want to do something else.
Yes.
And say someone who studied business management want to do early childhood education because there's a demand. And if a lady, a female, has a passion to do that, passion to do that course.
Okay.
So unfortunately, the government decided that temporary graduate skill visa holders are unable to apply for a new student visa extension in Australia. They have to depart and apply. So therefore, there's bad news on student visas. So the student visas are changing significantly.
Yes.
That's the news.
What's your best advice for international students who are currently planning to come to Australia for their higher education in Australia?
If they want to come to Australia to study, they really need to convince the government and the universities before they apply to the government of Australia for a student visa, they need to get enrollment. They need to prove that they are a genuine student.
Okay.
And then also they have the appropriate financial capability to study. So certainly the mature students who used to come will be reduced significantly because the government is introducing these new changes to TR, the post-study graduate skill visa. The age limit is going to be limited to cap to 35. It used to be 50. Reduced to 35. That means if you're under 35 only, you can apply for your temporary graduate skill visa, which is a bad news again.
Yes.
So therefore, if you wish to come to Australia to study, you really need to prove that you have the genuine intention to study as a student and your course is not available in your home country. That's the test, that's the crux of it. And so the message is that if you want to, you can be in Asia and you wanted to study overseas, and if you're looking to study somewhere, then Australia may not be the right place because Australia is not welcoming international students anymore. This is the law, the policy at this time. But things will change. The policies will change. People who make these policies also will change. Therefore, so I will say that you may have to postpone your plan. If you really want to come to Australia, you postpone your plan.
You put that way.
Yes, so certain things will happen at the right time. So certain things you don't want to accomplish, you know, maybe right now at this moment.
This is not the right time?
It's not the right time.
Okay.
So therefore, be patient. So I think the patience is very important for international students in overseas. But if you're in Australia, it's a different story. You have a valid visa in Australia.
Yes.
If you have a visa without conditions, open visa to be able to apply for another visa in Australia, that means you can make an application and you can obtain a bridging visa. When you lodge an application, valid application, for a valid visa, you get something called bridging visa. The bridging visa will take you all the way. If your visa is assessed and granted, then your bridging visa will end. You will have that visa that you applied for. If your visa is rejected, refused, then you can appeal to the Administrative Appeals Tribunal.
Okay.
And then if the tribunal refuses your case, you can go to the courts. So if you're in Australia, it's a different story. You can study what you want to study.
Yes.
As long as you can make a valid application for a valid visa.
Right.
What you need is the correct advice.
Yes. You mean to say that onshore applicants will stand a priority? Is that what you're saying?
I think if you are in Australia, if you are an onshore applicant, certainly you have the right to apply for a visa.
Okay.
You have the restriction to apply for certain visas at the same time.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that you aren't be able to apply for other visa categories. But the news for the advice for the temporary graduate visa holders is that they need to connect, if they're currently holding graduate visa, they need to connect with an Australian employer. They need to utilize their skills, their qualifications, their experience is the key. They need to connect with a genuine Australian employer
in the relevant field,
and get a job offer and get a sponsorship nomination, and then you can apply for a visa. The good news is
employer nomination scheme. You're talking about
employer nomination scheme, and the first step will be, if you don't have experience, you can apply for something called subclass 407. It's a trainee visa. Then you can still obtain a relatively lower salary, acceptable salary to the employer, and you're doing training, and that's an option for many students, many recent graduates.
Skilled graduates.
Yes, graduates.
Okay.
And there's no age limit for the trainee visa. You can make a valid application.
That's interesting.
And then if you have the skills, the experience, you can apply for something called subclass 482, which is the most popular employer-sponsored visa category. And there are two different lists for this 482 visa.
Right.
If your occupation is on a long to medium term list, then you can obtain a 4-year visa. Okay. And then if your occupation is a short term list, then you can only obtain a 2-year visa.
Yes.
Under the old law, prior to 25th November 2023, if your occupation was on a short term list, then you aren't able to apply for your PR under 186. That was the law.
Okay.
But this government made a very good change, good news. November 2023, anyone holding a 482, if they are with one employer for 2 years,
Okay.
and in Australia, and prove the employment, they can apply for PR 186 if they qualify.
Okay.
They're eligible to apply. That's a good news,
Yes.
regardless of their occupation.
Certainly.
Regardless of their occupation is on the short to medium term list, or they can come on a labor agreement and they can apply for their PR.
Oh, I see.
So the options are available now for temporary graduates and the temporary visa holders to apply for PR,
PR.
which is good news.
We will be going for a short break. Stay tuned with Early Edition.
නවමු ශ්‍රී ලාංකික ටෙලිවිෂන් අවකාශය CeyFLiXtv දැන් ලොවපුරා ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයින් අතර ජනප්‍රියතම ටෙලිවිෂන් නාලිකාවක් ලෙසින් තව තවත් ඉදිරියටම ඔබේ ආයතනය නිෂ්පාදන හෝ සේවාවන් CeyFLiXtv හරහා ප්‍රචාරය කිරීමට දැන් ඔබට අනභිභවනීය අවස්ථාවක්. සුවිශේෂී ලාභදායී පැකේජයන් යටතේ CeyFLiXtv අපි ඔබට ඔබගේ ව්‍යාපාරය ඉහළ තලයකට ගෙන ඒමේ අවස්ථාව දැන් උදා කර දී තිබේ. කතා කරන්න අපට නැතිනම් මෙන්න අපගේ ඊමේල් ලිපිනය. ඉහළ පෙළේ ප්‍රචාරණ අත්දැකීමක් සමග විශ්වාසයෙන් CeyFLiXtv අප හා එක්වන්න.
CeyFLiXtv, Taste of Television.
Welcome back to Early Edition. So, Mr. Katugampala, I would like to ask where the skill migration is concerned and regional visas are concerned. Where do we stand in the current situation?
Yeah, I think we had some uncertainty about skill migration in the last financial year and this financial year. Started from 1 July 2023, ending 30th of June 2024. Everyone was very uncertain because the government did not deliver the numbers of the quotas for skill migration.
Okay.
Very less invitations from the states. That states were given very limited number of quotas. So all the states in Australia, we speak to all of them, we communicate with all of the states.
Yes.
They all wanted to accept welcome migrants. They desperately need migrants for that local economies. They understand the local economy more than anyone elsewhere.
Yes.
However, they were not given the opportunity to invite because the federal government controlled the quota. And they said those quotas be utilized to grant the visas, pending visa applications. But we have not seen many grants either. This financially is a bad year. However, in the budget 2024, for financial year 24-25, the government announced a good news. So the skill migration numbers are going to sustain, increase a little bit in certain areas, especially in the employer-sponsored subclass 186 area. The quota is going to be significantly increased. And there's an increase of regional 491 visa, increase of 190 state-nominated skill migrant visa.
Yes.
That's a good news. So we hope that the government will allocate more quotas, more numbers for all the states appropriately in this coming financial year. If that is so, then the states are able to invite the qualified, suitable applicants to fulfill their skill shortage in that state. Then the skill migration will restart. So the news is that the prediction is that the skill migration will have a good future. So, but again, if your occupations are in demand, if you're in a critical sector like health or teaching or engineering or IT, you probably have a better probability to get an invitation
Yeah.
and get your visa granted quickly as well.
Than other occupations.
And then
is
other
that-
general occupations like marketing, management, and HR, they're not in demand.
Yeah.
So then you need to have the patience to get your invitation. If you want to go under skill migration pathways, then you need to utilize your employer-nominated option where you connect with an employer. But always there's an advantage that if you are connected with an employer in a regional area, because the regional area has got a real shortage,
True.
real skill shortage.
Yes.
That's the opportunity you need to explore.
Yes. Well, Mr. Katugampala, if we talk about regional visas, South Australia is regional. Like, what are the other regional areas like significantly have a skill shortage?
Yes, I think regional doesn't mean that it is rural, because you're in Adelaide. We are in Adelaide today. Adelaide is a beautiful city.
It's
and
not
it's one of the
rural.
major cities with the best facilities in the world, world-class facilities, world-class education.
Absolutely.
And lifestyle.
Yes.
And but Adelaide is still classified as regional area under the law. And I know that South Australia or any other regional area, the employers are desperate to get migrants. The state governments, the Chamber of Commerce, the business councils, employers, they all wanted to have migrants in this regional area. So therefore, the Australian government understand that. So they are providing some concessions and encouragement for regional employers and the states to bring people in. So I would say that if you are working, if you studied in Adelaide, or if you're working in Adelaide, you get an advantage, a distinct advantage to secure, accomplish your permanent residency in Australia. It could not be short term, but medium to long term, you'll be able to achieve that. And also that under the regional area, there are certain areas classified under DAMA. It's called Designated Migration Agreement, DAMA.
Okay.
And classified areas, and if you are an employer in that area, then you can apply for a DAMA agreement and consideration with the state government.
State government,
And
yes.
some area, most of the areas in South Australia are considered under DAMA now.
Okay.
And then under DAMA, the government has declared a wide occupation list and also concessions. The age concession, you could be 45 years of age or over,
Yes.
or maybe concessional English in certain occupations. And it is a concession that is granted to regional employers to
Right.
bring people in, support the nomination, sponsorship. They can secure, lock in those employees, the applicants. So regional migration still in demand. The regional migration program has really started in this state, in Adelaide. Adelaide is the architect of that. It was done by the person led the South Australian government at the time in late 90s.
Okay.
And I was practicing law in Adelaide,
I know
in a
you
law
have
firm called
specialized
Knox
in-
and Hargrave at the time, and I was very privileged to be part of that policy, and so we went to promote those categories in certain parts of the world at the time, representing a different law firm. Then subsequently I formed FAIRFIELDS Lawyers in Melbourne in '99. But Adelaide is a very special place for me. So I'm very pleased to be in Adelaide and very pleased to be part of CeyFLiXtv here, because the founders of CeyFLiXtv, they do it for passion for the arts and the media, and the money or the monetary reward is not their main objective. So therefore, I'm very privileged to be part of this today.
Yes.
And I would say that Adelaide is a very special place for all of you, and you need to look at Adelaide as a priority if you wish to migrate to Australia. The Adelaide, South Australia, regional Australia always gives you concession.
Yes.
That's the message to our communities.
I just want to ask one question. Are there any exclusions for New South Wales and Victoria? Because I know some areas won't be considered as
The major
regional.
towns, the metropolitan areas of New South Wales and Victoria are excluded from regional areas, but there are areas, postcodes in Victoria and New South Wales that are regional,
Yes.
and
Still.
still regional.
Yes.
And then November 2019, the government at the time, the Prime Minister, Mr. Morrison, introduced the new regional visas of class 491 and 494 at the time. The Perth also been classified as regional area at the time.
The capital city, Perth itself.
And also Gold Coast. Gold Coast never been regional, Perth never been regional, but it all happened in November 2019.
Okay.
However, COVID hit in early 2020,
Yes.
so they couldn't really accomplish the benefit of the regional visas during the COVID pandemic. So now that the migration has become a challenge, so I have that many years of experience. I've seen different governments, different policies, and the people come and people go, policies come and policies go. So what you need is the patient and
Wait for the
obtain
right
good
time.
advice.
Yeah,
Never
good
give up your
advice.
dream. That's
Yes,
the message
true.
for people.
Thank you very much, Mr. Katugampala, for being with us in the studio today during your brief visit to Adelaide and sharing your wider knowledge on current updates on migration rules and regulations.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you. Stay tuned with CeyFLiXtv.
CeyFLiXtv. Sponsored by Premier Tax and Bookkeeping.